Today on our, I guess, new adventure, depending on where you follow me. If you follow me on Instagram on XI Tuning, then you probably have an idea of what's going on. If you're just watching it on YouTube, then you probably are wondering, what about the Challenger? Well, we're going to be working on the SRT4, basically so that I don't work on the Challenger and ruin it by making it better. So, we've drugged the SRT4 out of the barn, if you will, cleaned it up, and slowly, little by little, I'm getting it up into shape. What we're going to be looking at today is the fuel system, or actually just the fuel canister. We're going to disassemble it and take a look at the different components. Now, this is not a factory fuel pump. It does have what we call a bottleneck fix, or if you're really old school like myself, we call them spool boy modifications. You get bonus points if you know what I'm talking about. So here we go. We're going to take a look at it and just get an idea of what's wrong with this old fuel pump system on the old SRT. Let's make sure we're good and protected. So we've got the fuel canister assembly out of the car. This is what they call the bottleneck fix. It's got a Walbro 255 in it. You can see it's got the return line, it's got an upgraded fuel feed line, and of course a blown out fuel level sensor and a dirty filter. This guy, what it was doing, it's been in there a while, and aside from being noisy, when I would turn on the key and the fuel pump would cycle, it would build up pressure, and then immediately, once the auto shutdown relay shut off, it would bleed off that pressure just immediately. It was gone. So when you went to go start the car, it would just crank and crank and crank and crank until fuel pressure built back up. So we're going to take it apart, and we're going to see what's wrong. Here we go. Hitting them with these locking tabs. And we got to come right apart. And we're going to free, and voila. So something I'm noticing right off the bat is the way that this clamp is dug into this fuel hose, and there's actually a little bit of movement. Got it off of there. I'm wondering, I believe that that's where my issue is. There's the beautiful Walbro 255. Doesn't look too bad. And like I said, it still worked. It still ran. Boosted up and held pressure fine when it was running. So there it is, all apart. Okay, so we have the canister completely disassembled here. The non-working float. We have the Walbro 255, just a standard, the standard upgrade replacement. There's actually, aside from being very noisy, I mean, Walbros really are, I don't believe that the problem was the Walbro itself. I think what I was running into is the old fuel hose was bleeding off pressure at this point, because when I took it apart, it was kind of loose. So I think the fuel hose had actually deteriorated and the clamp just wasn't as tight as it could be. So really, the 255 is fine, aside from being old and noisy. So it is time to upgrade. Other than that, we've got the strainer, which is standard dirty strainer, not a big deal, it'll get replaced. You got your other little sock, not going to be used. Your O-ring, everything's fine. The container does have a couple cracks in it, just from the previous install, but it is what it is. Went through and found a push lock connector to replace the one that's in there currently. I'll also replace the drain back hose or return hose, so I'm waiting for that to show up, as well as the new pump. So that about wraps it up for this time. We've got the canister assembly apart. I believe I have the problem located. We're going to wait for the new AEM 320 versus 255 liters per hour, something with extra headroom and is also rated for E85. With a newer style turbine, it should be noticeably quieter, and ever since that pump came out, it's something that I've wanted to try. Now, because it is not a direct swap in, there will be some modifications to the canister that will need to be done, as well as the wiring, so that should be an interesting video. So for now, for today, it looks like we're done. If you've enjoyed or have any questions, go down below, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you back here next time.